Hello and welcome to English Emperor Lab 2.0. Today, we will learn English by listening to a beautiful story. The story is about Chung Ju-young, a true spiritual warrior and the architect of modern Korean consciousness. This is a story that will ignite your mind and forever change the way you think about strength and purpose. Friends, what if I told you the man who founded Hyundai, one of the world's largest automotive and industrial giants, once worked barefoot in muddy fields, couldn't afford a train ticket, and ran 120 kilometers on foot just to chase a distant dream? This isn't a motivational cliche. This isn't fiction. This is the real, raw story of a boy who started with absolutely nothing and built a cornerstone of a nation. He had no money, no powerful connections, and no formal education, but he possessed one thing that changed his life: a steely decision to never stop trying. Why should you listen? Because this narrative goes far beyond business. It's a masterclass in resilience, a practical guide on how to fight when life hits hard, how to believe when you're alone, and how to stand up when the world shuts the door. And yes, listening to this story will also dramatically improve your English fluency. The secret is simple. You're not just passively consuming English, you're feeling the emotion, living inside the narrative, and absorbing clear, powerful language. So listen closely. This story might not just teach you English, it might just change your life. Part 1. The Flight from the Rice Fields. Let's turn the clock back to 1915. The setting is a small, poor village in what was then undivided Korea. A boy named Chung Ju-young is born into a family of poor rice farmers. Their home has a straw roof, their food is simple, and scarcity is a frequent visitor. As the eldest son, he is instantly bound to the land. From the age of 7, there are no shoes, no toys, and certainly no time for daydreams. His life is defined by hauling water, cutting feed for the cows, and planting rice. His father, a strict man, held fast to one unbreakable rule: work hard, don't dream. A farmer's son must be a farmer. But young Chung was different. He would stare at the distant mountains and quietly wonder, is this truly all there is to life? When he was about 14, he nourished a secret desire. He wanted to study, learn math, and become a teacher. He secretly walked miles to enroll in a school. But his father soon discovered the transgression and, in a fit of rage, dragged him back to the farm. "Stop dreaming," his father commanded. "Dreams don't feed hungry mouths." This was the first time life told him to stay small. But a persistent fire inside Chung refused to extinguish. A few years later, he tried again. He took the little money he had and set off to Seoul, the city of opportunity. But he had an insurmountable problem. He couldn't afford a train ticket. So, what did the boy with the immense dream do? He ran. A grueling, unsupported 120-kilometer journey on foot. No phone, little food, just the unshakable conviction that something more existed beyond those endless rice fields. Upon reaching Seoul, he found work at a construction site, toiling with bricks and cement from sunup to sundown. His hands bled and his back ached, but every night he whispered the same promise to himself. One day, I won't just build houses. I will build something much, much bigger. He saved his meager wages and eventually partnered with a friend to open a tiny rice shop. His first taste of entrepreneurship. Disaster struck quickly. His partner stole all the money and vanished. Chung lost everything. Many would have retreated to the safety of the village, but not him. He wiped his tears and declared, "Money can be taken, but my fire and my vision cannot." He started over from absolute zero again. Over the next few years, he took any job he could find, delivering salt, fixing bicycles, cleaning shoes. He wasn't learning from books. He was learning from life. He watched, he listened, and he slowly absorbed the mechanics of business, the psychology of people, and the true meaning of earning respect. Finally, in the 1940s, Chung launched a small construction business. He built roads and repaired bridges. When World War II ended and Korea was left a fractured, divided ruin, Chung Ju-young saw not ruins, but opportunity. Where others saw ashes, he saw future roads. Part 2. Building from Ashes. The Birth of Hyundai. In 1946, at the age of 31, Chung officially founded his company. He named it Hyundai, which means modern in Korean. Consider the irony. A man who grew up barefoot in a straw hut, without a formal education, starts a company called Modern. He didn't just want to repair the past, he wanted to build the future. Hyundai began as a humble construction firm. They handled small jobs, but Chung's ambition was anything but small. Most people would have hesitated, saying, "We're too small to take on huge projects." Chung countered, "We are small because we never take big projects." He began bidding on larger and larger contracts, taking immense risks and hiring people smarter than himself. He never managed from behind a desk. He visited every construction site, talked to every worker, and checked every stone. He believed that whatever Hyundai built had to be strong enough to carry the future. The Korean War and the Great Bridge. When the devastating Korean War began in 1950, most businesses panicked and shut down. But Chung Jung-young saw the immense destruction and thought, "The country will need roads and buildings again, and I will be the one to build them." He partnered with the South Korean government to rebuild crucial infrastructure. This dedication earned Hyundai immense trust, and solidified its name. One of the most defining moments came in the 1960s when the government challenged him to build a bridge over the Han River. Other companies scoffed. He has no engineering degree. He's just a construction guy, they mocked. Chung's response was definitive. If we keep saying we can't, we'll never learn how to do it. He took the project. He gathered a team, studied blueprints, consulted engineers, and dedicated himself completely. After just 4 months, the Han River Bridge was completed. A staggering achievement. The same people who had laughed stood in stunned silence. A rice farmer's son had just created one of Korea's most vital symbols of progress. This bridge was a message. South Korea is rising, and Hyundai is helping it rise. From roads to ships. Following the bridge's success, Hyundai's reputation soared. They were awarded contracts for highways, dams, and ports. But Chung wasn't satisfied with mere construction. He wanted transformation. He famously declared, "We cannot just copy the world, we must create." Then came a decision that shocked the entire nation. Hyundai will build ships. The critics returned. South Korea has zero shipbuilding experience. We don't have the technology. He simply smiled and said, "Then we'll learn. We'll start. We'll try." He flew to Britain, convinced seasoned shipbuilders to partner with him, and purchased land in Ulsan, then just a small fishing village. He promised this place will become the heart of Korea's industrial future. By 1974, Hyundai had launched its first massive ship and quickly became a global leader in shipbuilding. From the mud of the rice fields to the metal of global factories, Chung was no longer just building a company, he was building a dream factory. Part 3. The Man Who Dared to Build a Car. By the end of the 1970s, Chung Ju-young had built roads, bridges, ports, and ships. But one massive ambition remained. South Korea imported all its cars from Japan and the West, a reliance that bothered him deeply. Chung asked the dangerous question, why can't Korea make its own car? His team reacted with panic. We lack the knowledge, the engineers, the tools. Chung's reply was a mission statement. Then we will learn. We will build the tools. We will train the engineers. That's what modern means. This was not just a business decision. It was a national mandate. The British engineers and the pony. In the early 1970s, to acquire the necessary expertise, Chung flew to Britain. He hired George Turnbull, a top engineer from British Leyland, and 5 other elite British car engineers. When they arrived in Korea, they were skeptical. How will we build a modern car here? Chung gave them one thing that changed everything: belief. They didn't have a fancy lab or high-end machinery. They had one warehouse and a leader who absolutely refused to fail. Every time something failed, Chung didn't rage. He asked one question: what did we learn? He believed failure was the path to success. In 1975, after years of grueling work, the Hyundai Pony was born. It was Korea's first national car, a simple, affordable, proudly Korean vehicle. When the first pony was unveiled in Seoul, the crowd realized, we can do it. We are not small anymore. The American test
and the rebirth. The real struggle began when Hyundai tried to sell cars internationally. Global giants laughed. Korean cars? They're toys. Hyundai entered the US market in 1986 with the Hyundai Excel. In the very first year, they sold over 168,000 cars, a record. The laughing stopped. The worrying began. But this success wasn't permanent. Engine problems and low quality led to massive customer complaints. American media branded Hyundai a low-quality brand. Sales plummeted. His team urged him to cut production, but Chung refused. He declared, "If we are not willing to improve, we do not deserve success." He initiated a total company rebuild. New quality checks, better materials, and stronger testing protocols. He shifted the focus. Let's not compete on price. Let's compete on pride. Year after year, Hyundai didn't just make cars. They made better cars. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, the transformation was complete. The world saw Hyundai not as cheap, but as reliable, smart, and well-built.
Part 4. The Eternal Spirit of a Builder. By the 1990s, South Korea had risen from poverty to power, and much of that growth bore the Hyundai name. Chung's mission was clear. If we only copy the world, we will always be second. If we build the future ourselves, we can lead. Hyundai became more than a brand. It became a national symbol. The 500 cows. Even in his 80s, Chung's hunger for impact never faded. This led to his most symbolic act. In 1998, he traveled to North Korea. He crossed the heavily fortified DMZ border, not with words or weapons, but with 500 cows. He explained it was a return for cows his family had lost during the war, an act of forgiveness and peace-building that made global headlines. Chung Ju-young passed away peacefully in 2001 at the age of 85. South Korea declared a national moment of silence. He was remembered not just as a businessman, but as a builder of dreams, a man who proved you don't need a college degree or permission to change the world. After his death, the vast Hyundai Group was restructured into separate, highly focused companies, including Hyundai Motor Company, cars, Hyundai Engineering and Construction, infrastructure, and Hyundai Heavy Industries, shipbuilding. This ensured the spirit of innovation and growth continued. Today, the Hyundai Motor Group, including Kia, ranks among the top 3 car manufacturers globally. They operate in over 200 countries, employ over 250,000 people, and their luxury brand, Genesis, competes with the world's best. His legacy boils down to this. 1. You do not need permission to dream. Don't wait. Begin. 2. Failures are not the end. They are training. 3. Help others rise as you rise. The world drives on his roads, sails in his ships, and bites his cars. This is the story of what is possible. If life is hard right now, if you feel small or alone, remember this name, Chung Ju-young. And if the world tells you you can't, reply with his famous words. Have you tried? Thank you for listening to this story on English Emperor Lab 2.0. We hope you not only learned some new English words and phrases, but also felt inspired by the beautiful life and powerful message of Chung Ju-young. Remember, the best way to improve your English is to listen to stories like this one every day. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep being strong. See you next time.